So let me introduce Professor Francesco, who is the Director and UNESCO Chair Professor at National University of La Plata, Argentina. Professor Francesco Vigliarolo is a full-time professor of regional economics at Catholic University of La Plata and social economist, having PhD in social science, specialization in economic sociology, postdoctorate in economics, and master in sustainable development. He is also an associate investigator of CESOT, that is Centro de Study of Sociology of Work, at the University of Buenos Aires. At the Universidad Nacional de La Plata, he is a chair holder of UNESCO Chair in Economic Systems and Human Rights. He founded with almost 20 universities all over the world. From 2008 to 2015, he worked at University of San Martin, where he promoted and designated the first master course financed completely with European funds in Argentina in democracy and DDDHH, before moving from Italy to Argentina in order to study social responses to financial crisis of 2001. He worked at the University of Ferrara, where he was professor of social economics and methodology and techniques of social investigation, and promoter and coordinator of some masters, including social economics and non-profit organizations, and social economics and international cooperations. He is also been director of CIPSI Italy, Federation of 45 NGOs present in more than 60 countries around the world. With his investigations, he is interested in local developmental processes, such as the construction of territorial identities that imply the affirmation of rights, ontological region, through the strengthening of associative and democratic forms of production. In this direction, he works to what is called an economic phenomenology, which aims to observe the economy starting from the relationship between the subject and materiality, which proposes functions and ideas and concepts, and affirmation of the relational identity of a democratic society, which defines an ontological reason as opposed to the utilitarian one. He has published various books and scientific articles from which he explains concepts such as social ethical capital, ecological socialization and democracy, demand for the right for the people, mesoeconomic approach, and the principle of economy phenomenology. As his latest book, we mention the economy is a social phenomena, principles of economic phenomenology in 2019, published with UDEBA, Oops and the Lambs, Capitalist Society and the Way Out in 2017, published from Jaka Books. So with this, I introduce Francesco Vigliarolo. So
thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Srikanta Patnai. Thank you so much to all for organizing this important event for me and and for the topic we are dealing with. I think that it's really important this moment to speak, to talk, and discuss about economic system and human rights. We have created a UNESCO chair, as you said before, that we are working with more than 20 universities all over the world, and we are discussing. We work with seminars, symposium, conference. We had a conference with Noam Chomsky last 1st of May, and we do formation too. We do training activities too. And it's an honor for me to stay with you and to think together eventually activities in India where we can work together. Before you give me the work to introduce the topic, and I would like to introduce some ideas about economic systems and human rights in order to discuss after with the important relators that are here with us. And to do this, to address the seminar and the main topic, I would like to propose two sets of problems. The first of a theoretical nature, specific to economic science, and the other regarding the concrete effects that the dominant economic models produce in the world, where today we assist inequalities that undermine, this is more inequalities that undermine human rights for all are accentuated. The synthesis of this problem, in my opinion, can be read today in the process of economic financialization that we have witnessed since the 1970s. In fact, in the 1970s, when Nixon disengaged the dollar from the gold base of the United States of America, the economy, for various reasons, but first of all due to the use of the financial speculation transaction, became financialized. Over the years, it produced what we can call the loss of the relation between economy and society. That is, the detachment from its needs and also from a vision of life as a collective corpus. A large market society is born, guided by individual interests, and today more than ever legitimated in the international financial market, also due to the process of globalization that was about to take place. The tension between individual interest and collective relational identity, what we call in our chair we call ontological reason of people, reaches its highest level through economic globalization that reveals important problem that today affects the quality of democracies in terms of affirmation of rights for all. In this direction, a study by Daly and Cobb shows that from the second half of the 70s in the same United States, the growth of monetary wealth measured through the gross domestic product no longer correspond to real welfare, which includes service and distribution of wealth, but with new poverties and conflicts. A situation that is also observed both in problems with environment, externalities, and with the phenomenon called jobless growth. Many factors are prey in these new realities, among them social behavior, as evidenced by a concept of social capital defined by Bourdieu, observed in capitalist societies. Everything is reduced to personal interest, even social relationship. The economy is no longer concerned with caring for the identity of the peoples, but with maintaining the system as their level of efficiency. Economic positivism, with what I called before the problem of the theoretical dimension. We are in the phase of the economic positivism. In fact, the father of the most famous Keynes, John Neville Keynes, in the 1891, proposed the distinction between positive economics and normative one. By positive economic is understood the description of the functioning of an economic system as it is, and by normative economic it is understood the evaluation of what is desirable for its costs and benefits. In other words, economic positivism based on utilitarian rationalism takes over economic science and leaves out important considerations such as what kind of society do we want to build, considerations that are also built with the tools of the culture and in relational way among people and with the nature environmental. For all these reasons, we can affirm that individual interests, that is the aim of the microeconomic founded by Adam Smith, are inadequate to carry out the social welfare for all people who live in a relational way. And on the other hand, the macroeconomy founded by Keynes deals only with a demand consumption of goods without saying anything if these goods are related to the right of people or respond only to imperative of growth. For Amartya Sen, for example, this represented the crucial problem of the contemporary era that needs to be answered. That is, how can we overcome utilitarian rationalism and narrow this gap? Some effects of all these are, for example, increase in inequalities and concentration of wealth in some areas of rich countries. Since 1960, when the first research was conducted in more than 30 countries around the world, the gap between rich and poor has been increasing. Around 20% of the richest country held to 82% of the world's wealth. Dates of the International Food and Agricultural Development. 2 billion of people work in the informal economy, in the total absence of social protection. In low-coming countries, social security is virtually non-existent, and in upper middle income countries, it reaches only 28% of the poorest population. Data of World Bank. In low-income countries, in the poorest quintile, only the 18% of workers receive social assistance, and only 2% receive social security. The corresponding rates increased to 77% and 28% in high and middle income setting. World Bank dates. Informal employment exceeds 70% in Sub-Saharan Africa, 60% in South Asia, and over 50% in Latin America. While in India, it stands all around at around 19%, despite rapid economic growth and technological progress. In the informal sector, both wages and productivity are significantly lower, and workers benefits from neither health insurance nor social protection. Technology could therefore prevent Africa and South Asia from industrialization enough to all workers to enter the formal economy. In Latin America and the Caribbean, the 60% of employed workers and 28% of self-employed workers live in poverty. All these decades, the global economy has grown by $65 per year, while those belonging to the richest 1% have grown 182 times more, at a rate of 11,800 per year. Oxfam report 2018. If from this 1975 to 2012, there was a decline in the employment rate in business, in companies and enterprises by 70% in advanced, 75% in advanced countries, and 59% in developing countries. What we call before the jobless growth. We grew, but the jobless growth, the phenomenon, when we grew without growing together with the job. All these data, that are only part, show that the Article 25 of Human Rights, the Charter of Human Rights, is at risk today. That is, this dominant economic system cannot guarantee dignified living conditions for all the inhabitants of the earth. For example, the Article 25, the right to dignified standard of living for oneself and that of the family, states, everyone has the right to a standard of living sufficient to guarantee the health and the well-being of himself and his family, with particular regard to food, clothing, housing, medical care, and the necessary social services. That and has the right to security in the event of unemployment, illness, disability, widowhood, old age, in any other case of loss and livelihood due to the circumstances beyond his control. Our chair was born in this context, our UNESCO chair, with the aim of promoting a critical culture of the dominant economic system problems and researching, promoting models that put human rights at the center. With this aim, we ask ourselves, is it possible to always find in the Charter of Human Rights a way to build a new economy, but first of all, a new vision of a global society, not financial and market, but a society based on the spirit of fraternity, as states by the same Article 1 of the Charter of Human Rights? For example, the Article 1 says, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience, and must act toward each other in a spirit of brotherhood. In a spirit of brotherhood. Could they be the models of social economy, ethical finance, fair trade, new practices that respond to a main needs, namely that of creating of an economy that responds to a demand of identity of society and not of consumption. The way we can follow. What are the challenges in this turning this? What are the challenges that this practice can have to transform these models or these practices, new practice that was born in the 19 years, in order to create a global structure change in brotherhood terms? What are the models that can be taken from India as reference to escape from the straitjacket of positivism rationalities, as the same Amartya Sen himself states? With this question, I would like to finish my time, because it was just some minutes, and if you are agree, and I immediately leave the floor to the speaker and the Professor Srikanta as moderator. Thank you for the invitation, really, again, and it's really an honor to stay with you.
Thank you, Professor Francesco, for opening the discussion